This is the news. Bob Vylan has called out IDLES and Sleaford Mods at a gig in Dublin for not apparently showing enough support for the people of Palestine, and the band Benefits finally make a statement after others noted that they'd been very quiet about recent events considering how political their music is. Now, before we get to that, just a quick recap on how we got here. First of all, Sleaford Mods stormed off stage after a Palestine scarf was flung on stage. Here's some footage of that incident. Now, I made a video about this earlier in the week, so I'm not going to go into depth, but basically Jason warned that if a Palestine scarf was flung on stage again, then he would leave the stage, and naturally, it happened again. And he did what he said, and he walked off. He then followed it up with a tweet, which caused a lot of outrage from a lot of their fans. Basically, people mainly took issue with the phrase, taking sides, and the fact that he said he knew nothing about the conflict. What surprised many is the back catalogue has been built upon working class, the underdog, current affairs, calling out the government, and a left-wing angle to it all. So it's also around, he also said something along the lines of that he had no idea about the conflict, which, you know, as someone who's over 50 years of age, and is apparently left-wing, it seemed quite surprising that he had no opinion on it. But it is also worth pointing out, to be fair, that he made it clear that he's against war and the death of innocents, but it wasn't enough for the internet, and it wasn't enough for Bob Vylan. The internet swarmed the replies with so much anger that they were forced to delete a tweet about their BBC Six music takeover, and the replies are turned off for the tweet that sparked the controversy. I've already did a video on this, but in short, as a fan of the band, I think they messed up big time, but I'm still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, because when the adrenaline is flowing on stage, you have a split second to react. It is possible to make the wrong call, and the tweet came out shortly after the on-stage incident as well. I don't think Twitter pile-ons are helpful as a general rule in circumstances like this. I think when you've got somebody who is quite stubborn, and you've got people just shouting and just being into the void, I don't know, how helpful is that? Does that make a difference? Is that going to change minds? I don't know. But now we've got Bob Vylan responding to this on stage in Dublin.
Being pulled from the rubble of fucking buildings that have been absolutely levelled after spending days under that. How the fuck can you call yourself a political left-wing band if you are not fucking speaking up for people that have no voice at the moment? It's a cowardly fucking thing. So fuck IDLES, fuck Sleaford Mods, and fuck every single one of those fucking apolitical bands that don't want to fucking speak up when there's something a little bit iffy, a little bit touchy, a little bit sensitive, and you've got a fucking bullshit album to sell. Fuck that.
Now, Bob Vylan, in my opinion, has been quite rightly commended for his stance, but it hasn't came without a bit of a backlash as well. Some people are claiming that this is a promotional stunt, others saying he's virtue signalling, and we're now at the stage where any reaction comes with a backlash. There's pretty much nothing you can say online that won't start an argument. You can pretty much say anything and you're going to upset somebody, and especially with something as serious as this, with tensions as high as they are, there is nothing you can say that won't have some sort of backlash, and that includes saying nothing. And that's how IDLES incurred the wrath of Bob Vylan. As far as I'm aware, IDLES have not responded at all. They've not mentioned anything that's happening in the Middle East. And IDLES are all about sticking up for the oppressed. And it's very strong left-wing lyrics in their post-punk music. Ironically, IDLES and Sleaford Mods have fired shots at each other in the past, and now they're being branded with the same brush as Bob Vylan's, calling them out as cowards, both of them. And other bands. There was other bands that weren't mentioned, but basically any band anyone who has a platform has been called out, but especially bands who are left wing, and that brings me up to finally Benefits. So a band called Benefits, they've had an astronomical rise to fame in the last year or so with arty noise, punk poetry. I seen them play stereo in Glasgow, I think at the start of the year or was it the end of last year, and I really enjoyed it, and it felt like the real deal. But they started getting called out while on their European tour with Empire State Bastard, and after a little bit of press, I've seen a few people tweeting about it. They finally released a very long, well-written and wordy statement about war in general. And it was like, it was going back to the world wars, it was going back to everything. So it was a very long statement. It was applauded in the NME, and a lot of people enjoyed the statement. They said that it was a good call, but it's not been enough for many other onlookers, as in the statement there is no mention of a ceasefire or the fact that there is a literal genocide happening. So now we've got a situation where you've got 4 left-leaning political artists taking shots at each other. I've been a fan of all of them, promoted them all on the show. I've even interviewed some of them. Now all 4 have reacted to these events in very different ways, and now all of them are having to deal with a fallout online. So regardless of what you say or you don't say, you can expect the internet to call you out. Now, is that fair? Should musicians be forced to comment on everything as it happens? And normally I would say no, but the death count is sitting at 10,000 people in Palestine. The large majority are innocent civilians, and it's estimated that around a third are children, so somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 children, and that was the last time I checked. Now, in my opinion, the argument that musicians should simply just focus on the music is mute. It's not an argument, I don't think, when you've built your career on commenting on the injustices of the modern world. It seems to me like you're scared to rock the boat and affect ticket and album sales. And I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but that's just how the optics appear. And these are just my opinions. I'm happy to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but that's just how it appears to many. Now, today is the 11th of November 2023, an especially strange day where protesters demanding a ceasefire are likely to clash with people celebrating war veterans. And this has been heightened by Tory government and media outrage, when to me the best way to celebrate war veterans is demanding peace. Everywhere. There needs to be a ceasefire now, not this humanitarian pause shite that's just been announced today, where apparently Israel is going to stop bombing civilians for 4 hours every day, allegedly to let some medical aid in. And that is the weirdest, most pointless tactic I have ever heard of. It's something that Keir Starmer was calling for a few days ago, which really says it all. It's nothing more than a PR stunt. And if it is true, if this is what they're actually going to do, this means innocents will be bombing for 20 hours a day. It makes zero sense to me. Musicians, poets, artists of all kinds can change the world. I believe that. They do it on a daily basis when somebody puts on their headphones and listens to something that moves them, that gives them joy, that makes them dance. They have the ability to give their audience a fresh perspective in life. They can change minds. They can make people see the world in a different light. And at the moment, I think all these artists involved deserve the benefit of the doubt for now. I hate internet pile-ons. They're very cruel, lazy, brimming with hate. But perhaps some fair-worded pressure on anyone with a platform can only be a positive thing at the minute. In the meantime, all of these bands can expect Palestine flags to be flung on stage for the foreseeable future. And with the exception of Bob Vylan, I'm not sure how the rest will react to that anymore. They're all 4 bands we're talking about today, they're all great bands. I consider them to be important bands. And whether you enjoy their music or not, you've got to hand it to them. It's not often that you see political stuff garner some sort of mid-level mainstream attention. Ideally, I would like to see all four of them make up and do a medical aid for Palestine charity gig together. Sadly, I don't think that's going to happen at the moment. I expect them actually to start writing some diss songs about each other, which will make for some very high quality, yet incredibly petty entertainment as the world continues to burn in the background. What do you think? It's your call on You Call That Radio. The phone lines and the comment section are now open.